A pivotal year 4 approaches for Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers. These are 3 big questions that I've got for LSU football entering the 2025 season. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. As always, we're powered by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $150 in bonus bets today. Guys, it is a huge year for Brian Kelly upcoming in Baton Rouge. The pressure is on, and these are 3 big questions that I've got for LSU football entering the 2025 season. Guys, we will start with number 1, the most important position on the field, and this may be the most obvious question of all. Garrett Nussmeier. Is it too bold to say this team's going to go as far as he takes them? Is this team going to go as far as his mistakes don't limit them, if that makes sense? Guys, my first question is simply, can Garrett Nussmeier limit the turnovers? 12 interceptions last year. Listen, going into the 2025 season, I'm going to spoil it. I'm probably going to have Garrett Nussmeier as my number 1 quarterback in the SEC. I feel icky about it. I'll be totally honest with you, because he's the quarterback that also scares me the most. I mean, the guy, he makes some throws that nobody in the country can make. He also makes some mistakes that just leave you I equated him to this last year. I'll stick with this. He is the pitcher that throws 100 that has no clue where it's going. Like, he has starts where he dazzles. He locates. The stuff is good, if not better, than anybody in the country. But my God, when he doesn't know where it's going, it gets ugly. And for Garrett Nussmeier, it gets ugly at times. Can he raise his floor and limit the mistakes? That's the big question for Garrett Nussmeier. If he can cut his turnovers in half, guys, with the weapons they brought in, if Garrett Nussmeier can cut his turnovers in half from a season ago with the weapons they brought in at wide receiver, with the way the running game should be improved, Garrett Nussmeier will be in New York. I am willing to make that statement. I'm willing to make that prediction. Garrett Nussmeier will be in New York if he can cut his turnovers in half. Because everything else, guys, he has everything else. He can make all the throws. He's got the moxie. He's got the swag. Like, we've seen it. He's just got to limit the mistakes. If he can limit the mistakes, limit the turnovers, cut them in half from last year, LSU's in the playoff, and Garrett Nussmeier is in New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony. Does he win it? I don't know, but he's there. I'll guarantee that right now. Guys, my second big question for LSU, I just mentioned it. Will LSU get back to running the football? That may be the biggest question of all. LSU's lack of ability to run the football last year was stunning. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. Like, when I think of LSU football, I think of punching you in the mouth. I think of a fist fight. Like, you're getting into a fist fight on both lines of scrimmage. They have gotten away from that recently. Dare I say, they were a little soft in the trenches last year. Like, got bullied at times up front. And now you lose guys in your offensive line. You lose a guy like a Will Campbell. You lose an Emory Jones. You got new guys stepping up at the tackle spot. Like, you got some new pieces on the offensive line. Are you going to be able to run the football more consistently? Because, we put all this pressure and all this blame on Garrett Nussmeier. But, I mean, the offense was one-dimensional. What he was able to do with the offense being one-dimensional was astounding, if we're being totally honest. Can you get back to being physical? Can you get back to running the football, imposing your will on opponents? Not just running the football, but running the football when you want to. Not just when you need to, when you want to run it, when you want to ice a game, when you want to. I mean, LSU struggled at the goal line, guys. I saw it firsthand at South Carolina. They got stuffed on 4th and goal, got stuffed on multiple goal situations. That can't happen. The running game's got to be better. Guys, my third and final question is this, and we're going to spend all summer long talking about this. How do the Bayou Bengals solve their season opener woes? I'm not saying it's a one-game season for LSU, guys. I'm not. But in a year where all the pressure is on, man, that game against Clemson, I know it's at Clemson, but that game against Clemson feels as must-win as any in the Brian Kelly era. I mean, and listen, we said that last year, going into last year, about the game against USC in Vegas, biggest game of the Brian Kelly era. And they lost, right? They lost. And LSU still had an opportunity to achieve their goals. This one against Clemson, though, man, just it feels massive. It really does. It feels massive because this is a massive year for Brian Kelly. Now, I'm not going to say your playoff hopes hinge on the game. You can still make the playoff if you lose. I think that. But, man, I mean, what has it been? 5 years in a row you lost season openers? You lose another one? I don't know how this fan base is going to cope with that. So, they know it's a big game. We know it's a big game. Everyone knows it's a big game, but you got to find a way to win one of these, man. You got to find a way to win one of these season openers. I don't care who the opponent is, where you're playing it. You got to find a way to win one of these games. Are they going to be able to beat Clemson out of the gate? And really all these portal pieces meshing together, and LSU, are they going to be able to play their best football or close to it in game number one? They're going to have to against a really tough opponent in a tough environment. So again, guys, my three big questions for LSU football entering the 2025 season. Number one, can Garrett Nussmeier limit the turnovers? Number two, will LSU get back to running the football? And number three, how do the Bayou Bengals solve their season opener woes? Guys, what are your three big questions for LSU football, and what are your thoughts on the Bayou Bengals entering year 4 of the Brian Kelly era in Baton Rouge? Guys, before we get out of here, before I call it a day, I want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel, because as always, we're brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. This bracket season, FanDuel is letting you make the call, because right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. That's $200 extra bucks to bet on everything from clutch shots to last-second heartbreaks, and even who's cutting down the nets. If you've been wanting to join, there's no better time. There's tourney action almost every day, and FanDuel has amazing bet types like spreads, totals, game props, and so much more. Guys, again, we're betting on everything. March Madness, SEC tournament, even college baseball. You're going to want to make sure you place your bets with our friends at FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/SECU and get in on the college hoops action all tourney long. Guys, must be 21 and up and present in select states, or 18 and up and present in D.C. First online, real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Guys, once again, your three big questions for LSU football. What are they, and what are your expectations for LSU in year 4 of the Brian Kelly era? Guys, that's good off me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Again, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast. Where you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. Until next time, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we will catch you on the other side.